do it. I
Okay.
don't mind.
But
Man,
I,
uh,
I did the thing.
huh?
What? Good morning.
Oh, hey, how's it going?
Welcome to the Double Cup of Joe show. This is the game where Joe and Joe attempt to trick each other into when we're actually starting.
You're a tricky gentleman, sir.
Yep, I usually win because I have the producer button where I get to start the show.
You do.
For some reason, that gives me an advantage.
Yes, I want that button someday.
All yours. You can have it now.
I can. Oh, I can.
Yep,
Cool.
yep. We'll get you a button. Anyway, welcome to the Double Cup of Joe show. I am your host, Joe.
And I'm your other host, Joe.
And we're here to make sure that you have a wonderful morning, evening, midday, or perhaps, dinner time. I don't know. I don't know what that's called. Evening? Evening.
Mhm.
Good evening. Anyway, um, so yeah, that's what we're here to do. If you don't have one of those, that's okay. We're gonna have fun anyway. So, that's really on you. But it's good to see everyone we got here. You guys are all up and at it. We got Haley, Jono, Swilk, and Taff, and a Keel.
Wow.
So, full crew today. You guys are awesome. Oh, even a random lover of physics and the universe. Man, that's a long name. We're going to call you Rilaf. Rilop. No, that's not going to work.
Relaptu.
Yeah. Your initials there
Relap.
just don't work very
Relaptu.
well.
But it's a PH, so you got to make the F sound. You got to make the relaptu.
Mm-hmm.
Ew.
All right,
And
all
actually, random, you
right.
need to come back tomorrow. We're going to be doing your topic.
Okay. Oh, because it's Free for All Friday.
Yeah, which means today's Thursday, which means Joe's hosting.
Yes.
Excuse me.
And Friday, Joe is also hosting, so do that for that.
Somebody told me every time I blow my nose, I need to sanitize my hands. Did you ever, somebody, ever had somebody tell you that?
uh, no. But my doctors just tell you wash your hands whenever. So like, oh, you breathed, wash your hands. Oh, you like walked a few steps, then you should probably wash your hands. You touched any surface, you should wash your hands. A little weird. This is some hand dancing. It's the newest rage over in Czechoslovakia.
You
I
gotta
don't
put your,
know.
you gotta put your supermodel face on too.
Mhm. Ooh, beautiful. Look at the way he moves his hands. But anyway, right about now, washing your hands is probably never a bad idea.
No,
Uh,
not
just
usually.
just don't overdo it. Haley is giving us advice on math. Don't do 7 hours of math without breaks. Yeah,
Oh,
that's fair.
yes.
Number thoughts haunt you.
Oh, oh
She's not
my.
wrong. She's not wrong. The horrors of accounting nightmares.
You have probably done 7 hours of math continuously. I would imagine you've done that, Joe. Have you done
Yes,
that?
many days. Many days I've done that.
Yeah. I would have a very hard time doing that. I would cry and wet myself. With tears.
Oh, okay, yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. I don't know what I was thinking.
What were you thinking?
Yeah. Anyway, we should get going. Sorry about that slight delay we had. A streaming software was working at all, so got it up and running so we can hang out with you guys, which is truly parts of our day.
Hmm.
And if not, I can hang out with Joe, which would also be one of my most fun parts of the day. So
Yeah.
that's always fun.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get in anything too crazy, today we're talking about checking yourself. Again, we're checking some things out. We're gonna check mate the the learning, the doing process. Um, in by checkmating it, I mean we're gonna talk about why you should do it. Like why would you even check yourself? Why not just go for things? Um,
Did you
it's a
just
great
say
question.
checkmating?
Yeah, checkmating.
So you checkmate yourself? So then
It's a,
you're done. You beat yourself.
yep,
You win.
yep.
I win.
This is the day we win. So yeah, it's gonna be lots and lots of fun. But before we get to that, we said we were gonna talk about that, but we have a quick, well, okay, sometimes quick. It's a pretty easy 3-step process that we start our morning out with every single morning, even the mornings we're not here on this show. So if you're like Saturday, you're like, I can't see the Double Cup of Joe show, you can still do the 3-step routine. There's nothing stopping you. So those 3 steps, they're very simple, they're very quick, they're very easy to understand. What are you thankful for? What are you looking forward to? And what are you going to do today to move your life forward? Now,
Three.
yes, 3. The number
Uno,
of
dos,
the
tres.
counting shall be
Three.
3. Yes. Yes, we've made that joke many a time on this show,
Many times.
and it will be made many more times.
Because we're big dorks, so that's all right.
Yes, we are the dorkiest dorks there are. So,
You're
hey,
watching us.
yeah, you. That's how we know you are more dorky than us.
Nuh-uh.
uh,
They're part of the dorky family. We all live. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
yeah, definitely the goodest.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you guys want to participate, feel free to go ahead. I'm sure Jeff has already posted his, and he has.
Yep.
He is
He
thankful
sure
for
has.
clean laundry, which is fantastic. But Joe here has an awesome well, and so that with us.
I am thankful that it's raining today. It's like a grimy, rainy day out there. I'm so thankful. No, like, serious, because today is an inspections day for me. And rainy days are always the best inspections days because then people stay inside their houses. They don't come out and bother me. They're not out mowing their lawn, and I pull up and take pictures of their neighbor's house, and they come over and then they don't follow the social distancing, and they get right up in my car window, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm doing an inspection. If you don't like it, call the police." And so they do. And, and then I get a business card on my door that's from the cops, and they say, "What were you doing over here?" I'm like, "I'm doing an inspection." Blah 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 blah. So I'm thankful that it's raining because I avoid a lot of that nonsense on days when it's raining.
uh,
I
Same.
avoid even more of that nonsense when I'm not doing inspections, but
Mm,
when it's a requirement to do the inspections,
do the inspection.
the rainy days are the best day.
That's fair. I like it.
Mhm.
So yeah, we got some other cool answers. We got Tef is thankful for blinders, so I can sleep without being watched. Is that like the "you can't see me, I can't see you" thing? Like that kind of like what are blinders? I'm really confused because I definitely thought blinders meant you couldn't see somebody.
Maybe he means blinds, like on the windows.
That could be true.
Maybe that's what they call them over there.
Shows you how little I know here in the Oos. Akil is thankful for being healthy.
Mm.
I would hate not to taste do to not taste anything tonight for breakfast.
Yeah.
Tonight for breakfast.
Break fast. He's been fasting, so he's breaking it.
Oh,
Which are those are the best meals.
yeah. I like to make fast breaks for food too. Joe A is right. Okay, you're right, as you often are. This is why Joe is in charge all the time. This was his idea. So, yep.
What
Now
was my
looking
idea?
at this show,
Oh,
this thing.
no, I thought that was a collective idea. I feel like the only thing I invented was the name.
Well, you were gonna go it alone, and then other secondary Joe walked in. They're like, "Oh, there's two Joes now. We can just add two to the front of the
We
show
should
name."
do Double Cup of Joe show, and it's really catchy sounding. Haley says, "Guess what? What, Haley? We would love to know."
Bum, bum.
And while you're typing that out, maybe we can go to step 2.
Yeah, we're gonna go to step number 2, which is the my favorite step because I have a crystal ball. And no, wait, no, I don't. It's what are you looking forward to? 'Cause some cool things are coming up. So, Joe, what are you looking forward to?
Tomorrow.
Hmm.
I'm looking forward to tomorrow because after today comes tomorrow. Today's an inspections day, which means tomorrow's not.
Hmm.
Tomorrow is a day I can actually start working on my BSS assignments that were all assigned last night.
Hmm.
Now I have BSS assignments, which are my favorite kind, and I can start working on them tomorrow. Super exciting. And I'm going to add some more assignments to my list because I forgot about some. I was reassigning. Haley says I beat my record for the highest percentage I've ever gotten at any assignment. And I have 3,000%.
Well played.
3,000. That's the highest percentage I've ever heard of on an assignment. I'm going to shoot for that on my BSS assignments this week. 3,000. You wait till the conference call. That's the score I'm giving myself.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness.
That's awesome, Haley. I would love to know how you did that. That is wild.
I think your person who's doing the grading needs to do 7 hours of math. That's all I got from that statement. Anyway, so that's step number 2. What are you looking forward to? Akil is looking forward to writing again. Tef is looking forward to pancakes. Always fantastic thing to look forward to. You have something amazing coming up. Look forward to it. Very encouraging. Get you up and at it. And Joe's gone. Bye, Joe. Um, you have to find a reason to kind of get out of bed in the morning because otherwise, it's quarantine. Like you don't really have anything to do. Why not just sleep in your bed all day? And we talked about it before on purpose, but also like having something to look forward to is a great reason to kind of get up, get going, do what you need to do. So that's why we do that step. Step number 3 is of course what comes after that, which is the action. Yep. Which is what are you gonna do today that's gonna move your life forward? So Joe, what you doing?
Well, as I stated before, today's an inspection day. So I'm going to do that. It's going to be a big one, but I'm going to nail it all, get it all out of the way so I can take the rest of the weekend off. And especially tomorrow, because tomorrow then will be a BSS assignment day where I score 3,000. Like Haley, you're my inspiration. I am now inspired. So I can't wait to be done with today. I'm gonna rock out all these inspections. I'm gonna take care of them. Oh, and I'm gonna probably exercise too because it's back to exercising time. So, but as you've heard me state before, on long days when you got lots of work that you're doing, and it's long and hard and everything, especially mentally, one of the best things you can do when you get done with that is exercise strenuously because then your brain, all the brain clutter gook like goes away. Goes away. I Haley says that she thinks I should get 10,000%.
Probably.
Jeff, you heard it here. 10,000%.
We'll add it.
Yeah. Jeff's our integrator. He kind of keeps track of all of us.
Yep. Yep. He does the integrating.
Yes. So I'm gonna get 10,000% this week.
Good.
Mark it down now. Then when we get to Wednesday, we do our conference call. We do the check. The sheet says 3,000. Well, we're gonna bump that up 7,000 more.
Yeah, Joe's not messing around, man. Gotta
Yep, I'm
get
gonna do
those
it.
numbers up. I don't know what an integer underflow is, but it sounds flowy.
Neither. Me neither.
So yeah, that's it. That's the 3-step routine. We're done. It only took us 10 minutes, which means it should take you about 30 seconds, but that's okay. It doesn't matter how long you take, as long as you get through them, you understand some good things about yourself. It is truly a matter of checking yourself every single day. So, speaking of, we should probably get into our topic, which is, of course, checking yourself. We've been talking about checking yourself all this week. Checking ourselves. Check, 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 check.
Today we're gonna checkmate ourselves.
Yep, now we're going to checkmate ourselves because today is the last day we're talking about checking ourselves. Next week is going to be on adjusting ourselves. No, just adjusting. It's just making adjustments.
Oh my. Oh my.
So it's going to be great
Leave
fun.
that one alone. I got all kinds of things I can say.
No,
mostly
right.
inappropriate.
No, Joe.
What?
We're all young here. You're not even 20.
I know.
All right. So
my brain goes places I can't even.
Oh yeah. You're thinking like a teenager again. I should know better.
I am. I'm 19. What do you expect?
Oh my goodness. We say that so often. I wonder who still thinks it. I'm sure we've convinced somebody.
Hey, random just explained integer underflow.
You try to go below a minimum value, ended up going to the other extreme. Does not compute. Does not compute.
Yeah. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to integer underflow myself. A lot of extra credit. Okay. All right.
But I'm sure if you explained integer underflow to your teacher, they'd give you more. So
they would. You would get extra.
I've never heard of this, which is fantastic. Like I've done it. Like I've put in too low of a value, and my computer's freaked out and given me something crazy. But nobody's ever given me a name for what that was. So. But back, back when I went to school, back in the day, we didn't have fancy computers everywhere. It was, we had one set of computers for the entire school, and if you wanted to learn anything about computers, you went to this one room with a bunch of computers in it. And they ran what, Windows XP? Maybe?
Wow.
Yeah, so welcome to the future, guys. Anyway, we could probably get rolling. So, again, today we're talking about why you check yourself. Why is this important? Why have we been talking about this all week? It leads up to this one moment that Joe is going to explain right now. No, we were a little bit past Windows 95 by the time I got to computers in school.
I was rocking Windows 95 in college.
You're 19, Joe. No lie.
Anyway, what are we talking about? Checkmating.
No, yeah. What are you talking about? You are talking about why we're doing this checking thing.
Oh yeah, okay. So, To recap the week, we talked about how important this step is, because, and also how important it is to follow up any action that you're taking with, just kind of analyzing what happened. Like you did this week of action, or this month of action, or this day of action, or whatever time frame you set for yourself, and then you say, okay, from here, I'm going to take a look at it. I'm going to see what happened. What did I do? What happened that was good? What happened that wasn't so good? What can I change for the next round when I try again? Because that's what this is going to be. This is a constant, process. We explained earlier that this is the PDCA process: plan, do, check, and adjust. And we're on the check step. And the check step is one that takes a lot of courage, because you got to analyze what you did wrong. And then the spotlight goes on your errors and your mistakes and your faults. And it can be hard. So, like, one of the things to understand, like we explained about on Tuesday, was how important it is to understand that you're not going to be perfect. You will not be perfect. So, you need to embrace that imperfectionism. And if you have a habit of being a perfectionist, as I do, then it can be demoralizing, and it can lead to, like, what I would do, which we talked about yesterday, which was self-deception, because I wanted to be right. I wanted to do things right. I didn't want to make mistakes. I didn't want to have errors. And so when I would do things, I would try to do everything right. And because of my pride and perfectionism, I would, when I got to the check step, I would lie to myself and say, oh, yeah, I did everything right. And then you know what happens there? You keep making the same mistakes over and over again, because then you don't have any adjustments to make. You're like, oh, I did everything perfectly.
Hmm.
Nope, didn't actually. Did not do everything perfectly. So today we're going to talk about what happens as a result of actually being honest with yourself, of actually being okay with being imperfect, because that's the whole point of anything. We want to improve, right? We want to get better. We want Most of us have an idea for the life we want to live. We have a life, a goal, a dream, a purpose, as we talked about a few weeks ago, where we talked about purpose and fulfilling yours. And then you got to take action to get there, which is action is required to make your dreams real. And today we're checking that action to make sure we're on track, because, okay, we always know the shortest point between two dots is a straight line, right? Joe, you know this?
Yes, it's a straight line from point A to point B, which is
Yes.
Joe A to Joe B. Wait, what?
So if I'm at Joe A and I want to go to Joe B,
Hmm.
I just walk right over here.
Yep.
I'm behind that curtain.
Yep. This is don't
Yes,
look behind the
I
curtain.
get
Pay no
stuck behind the
attention
curtain.
to the man behind the curtain. Yep.
um, but a straight line, you take a straight line, but the way to our goals is not ever going to be a straight line. It's always going to zigzag a bit, because we get off track, and we have distractions or problems or something we got to handle, and then we adjust, and we're still looking at the goal, and then we're just like, oh, course correct, and then we get off track the other direction, and we go, oh no, okay, now I got to course correct again, and then we're back, and it kind of ends up being a zigzag line to our goal. But without this check step, we would never correct course and never get back on track. We'd end up way off in the weeds somewhere. And we're like, how the heck did I end up here? Well, we weren't checking ourselves regularly. So, as you embrace imperfectionism and understand it's okay to make mistakes, you are in uncharted territory. You are trying to achieve something that you've never achieved before. So, you got to blaze a new trail. Now, in some ways, people have blazed a trail for you, they've marked out a path, but we still get off track. So we got to just recheck, make sure we're still on the path, or and then get back on the path because most of the time we find out we're not exactly on the path, or we can be doing better, we can be making improvements, all that kind of stuff, right?
Okay.
So as you do this, as you go through this process, a couple things happen, a couple wonderful things happen. One, you start to embrace your imperfectionism and it starts to be fun. I used to think, man, I can't imagine just being the guy that makes all kinds of mistakes all the time. And it was so disheartening for me to even make one mistake. And then as I started to do this more and more, I started to be like, hey, what? It's okay to make mistakes. In fact, I like telling stories. And when I make mistakes, those are the most entertaining stories. Ask my kids. They don't like hearing the stories about when everything goes great. They like hearing the stories about how dad got in trouble or how dad did something dumb or, and because those are always the funny things. And imagine a movie. If you watch a movie and the plot line was, well, here's this guy and everything just went perfectly for him, the end. That be a good movie?
Oh, maybe it hasn't been tried yet, to the best of my knowledge.
Yep, everything's just perfect. No, you are living out a drama, the drama of your life, and it's exciting. And when you make mistakes, when you embrace the fact that it's not perfect, you add to the drama and the more interestingness of your life. So like that becomes amazing. The other thing that happens is you see marked improvement and then you start looking back at who you used to be and you understand, wow, I really have come a long way. I have grown a lot. I'm not to where I want to be yet. Man, I'm a lot closer and I like who I'm becoming. I like this journey of self-improvement, of all this stuff that's happening because as you grow, it gives you a reason to have, a healthy kind of pride in what you're accomplishing. You start to realize, I'm not all that bad. I can learn stuff. And then finally, you start to understand something so key because in our culture, for some reason, we start to think, well, I'm the way I am. This is the way things are. This is the way it's always going to be. Right. We start to think in terms of this is just the way it is, the way it is. And we never look beyond. I had an employer one time. His motto was the best part about your current staff is that they don't have to be your current staff. I was like, that's a very interesting kind of disheartening thing because it's like then you feel like you're always on the chopping block, right? But I take that and put it into my life and I say the best thing about my life and my situation is it does not have to be my life and situation. It can change and it will change. Now, what direction it changes in depends a lot on you. There are outside factors, we can't always control everything. But if you move forward, if you make these adjustments, what happens is you start to understand, hey, just because I'm right here where I'm at, tomorrow I can work hard and I can be somewhere else. I can be a lot closer to my goal. I can change this situation because you look back at your track record and you're like, man, I was here. I was way back there before. Now I'm here. And that's a lot different and a lot better than it was before. I can actually make this even better as I go forward. So it gives you hope. So that's some of the fruits that I see just to get us started here. And now I will turn it to Joe.
Cool. Well, thanks, Joe. That's some really cool stuff. Um, Man, this topic is just huge. There's so much. There's a reason, we try to give these topics a full week to kind of get into because there's a lot. There's a lot of benefits here that you can really see. Um, And since I'm apparently always the guy who talks about why is it, I'm going to answer Random's question of why does it feel more significant when someone shows you how much you've grown rather than when you see your own growth.
Hmm.
Again, this is we're taking today technically to tell you primarily why you would do this. It's for you in the end. So, but that doesn't mean that you don't involve other people in it, because as Random has pointed out, it feels more significant when somebody else shows it to you. And the reason it does is because generally speaking, someone else is going to show it to you in a very shortened time frame. Somebody else is going to show you like from one point far back to a point up in the future. Versus when you see it, when you see your improvement, you see all the steps in the middle. You see all the little steps you took. You see, well, today I got in my car and I drove to this place and did this thing. And then the next day I did this car and went to this place. And then I worked on this while I was at this place and da da da. And then you get to where you're improved. But that person only saw you at point A where you did like, hey, I'm going to learn to play the trumpet. And then for, 8 months later after you've done a ton of practicing and it's like, whoa, you went from not even knowing what a trumpet was to now you can play in an orchestra. Like these huge disparities is because they only see the 2 points. Like you have moved a substantial way. It was one of the things I talked about a couple days ago, I believe, of one of my former bosses who's like, just spend 15 minutes a day every day, and in a year, you'll get pretty darn good at anything. And it's because little tiny steps, little tiny adjustments every single day have a profound impact if you are consistently doing them in the long term. It's why consistency is one of the number one characteristics people look for in their friends.
Hmm.
That they are going to be the same. They're going to keep doing what they do because I don't know if you've noticed out there, the world generally changes a lot very quickly. So having friends that you can go, this person is like this, is very, very set. It feels very safe. Feels very settled in a world of uncertainty. All that to say, it's more significant when somebody tells you because not only have we moved a large way, but also it's not just you. And when it's not just you dealing with everything, there's another extra boost there. There's another, oh hey, I'm not the only one thinking it. Because it's very easy when it's just you to think, this could be pride or this could be, some other like negative kind of connotation to what you're thinking. But when you have other people who are like, no, yeah, this is right. You are definitely getting better. You are definitely improving. You're definitely making these adjustments. Um, then it really reinforces that, hey, this isn't just me in my head. This is real. Like I am really getting better. And so that is the other significance that you get from hearing from someone else tell you about your growth.
Hmm.
So with that, I'm going to turn back to Joe, who looks like he's got some more wisdom. He always does. Stalling? No.
uh yeah, wisdom. Let's see. Um Actually, this um I've been taught this process for a long time. I've been a student of leadership for a long time. I'm 19 now, so probably since I was about 11 or
Mhm.
something. Actually, before that, probably since I was about 5. Um, but this process has kind of been hammered home. Jeff and I have kind of been partners in this whole deal for quite some time. So he understands the PDCA process a lot. A lot of times, him and I would just do plan and check. We would leave out the action step, So we leave out the do step, and then because we didn't have anything to adjust, we wouldn't adjust anything because we would check it and we'd be like, "Hey, we didn't do anything." I guess the adjustment is we should probably do something. That would be step number 1. So, in this step, make sure that you celebrate the fact that you took action. If you didn't, if you're like, Jeff and I were for a long time, we were planning and then checking and then planning and then checking and then planning and then checking, and we're like planning to do something and then we didn't do anything and we were checking it. And like, so it became this thing. And then finally, when we started doing things, that can be a reason to celebrate. Now, as you're checking, even if your results are just dismal and you're like, that was awful, like horrible. Can't believe what happened. Like, because we've had times like that where it's just like, man, I tried and it looks awful. Like, sorry, terrible. But you can celebrate the fact that you did something. You took action, which is so hugely important. And that is very much a reason for celebration. So always throw that in there as you're making these adjustments. One of the things, especially if it's been a particularly hard uh, time, of doing stuff, and you look back and you're like, man, we haven't have much to speak of. It's been a really tough time. The fact that you did something, that's an encouragement and that's a hope, because now it's like, you know what? I'm at least developing the habit of taking action. Like we talked about last week, how important that is to take action. And because that's what turns dreams into reality. That's what makes the world move forward when people take action. Now as we adjust, you know, the temptation will arise to beat yourself up because you're going to have, issues to deal with. That's the whole point of the checking step, is to find out where you went wrong so you can make the adjustments to do better next time. So, for one, don't be surprised when you find errors and mistakes. I can't hammer that home enough, because, that's inherent in the step and it's okay. But then always remember, celebrate the fact that you did something, because that is huge. That is so huge. Because if you're like me, for years, I just didn't take any action. I don't know, there was a lot of fear involved. There's all kinds of fears. There's all kinds of reasons we don't take action. For me, mostly it was fear. Fear of all kinds of things. Fear of other people, fear of success, fear of, unfamiliar territory, because a lot of things we were doing were brand new to me. All those fears were holding me back. When I finally started to break through that barrier and take action, you know, my results were terrible. Because I'd never done these things before. So of course I'm going to be bad at it. Anytime you do something for the first time, you're probably bad at it. But I could always celebrate the fact of knowing that I actually did something. And it's a beautiful thing. It's built into the exercise program that I always promote, hitacademy.com, HIIT academy.com. They build that into their program. They're like, okay, it's 8-week program, and we go in 2-week cycles. So there's 4 cycles. And at the end of every 2-week cycle, you take a selfie. So then you see your progress. And
Yeah.
to watch your progress every 2 weeks, it's actually very encouraging to keep you going, because you're like, You know what? This actually is working. There is a difference in the way I looked, you know, at the beginning and the way I look now 2 weeks later. I notice a difference. And so then you try again hard the next week, and then you go again hard the next week, and you go again hard the next week. And after you've done the program a whole bunch of times, then you start understanding, then you start tweaking. Let's see. So if I do this, and if I just do the work, but I don't adhere to the dietary guidelines they set out, my results aren't as good as when I do the whole package. When I work hard and adhere to the dietary guidelines, that's a better result. when I really push myself, as opposed to just kind of getting through, because there are days I just get through the workout. I'm just like, this is hard. I just like kind of slough through, But then there are other days when I actually try really, really hard and kick it into high gear, right? My results are better when I consistently try hard than when I consistently just muddle through, I guess. So, as you do this process, not only will you refine your action, but the more you do the check step, you will also start checking the check step and refining how you do that. It'll be very interesting as you move forward. And it's so much fun. It's so much fun to get to that point where you just you're not only, changing your action, but you're also changing your whole process because now you have a lot more mileage under your belt and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm actually getting to the point where I start to feel like a professional here because I understand this so well." It's like I've been doing inspections in the same area now for like 8 years. So I know this territory so well. Like I'm not going to ever get lost in my territory because I drive around it so much. But, as you start to get that into that realm, you start to understand, you know what? This is something I know, and I know that I know it. And a level of confidence appears that you don't recognize. You're like, wow, very interesting. But you're going to get there as you go through this process. So, that's it.
That's it. Cool. Yeah, I don't really have much more to add to that. Like those really good, Joe. There's a lot of growth that can be had, and after you've checked yourself for a long enough time, you start to realize, yeah, I kind of got this. Like, I don't need to. Like, yes, it's still good to check yourself every once in a while, but there comes a point at which you're like, yeah, I understand. I've reached that point. So you know, we always talk about getting to your goal, but after you've like checked yourself enough times, you're like, yeah, I'm just on target. Like, there's not much more to go.
Mm.
You don't have to check yourself as often. Whereas at the beginning, you might have to keep checking yourself all the time because you're like, oh, let's go this way, this way, this way, this way, until you get on the right path. So, um, plenty of good stuff there. So, if you weren't here earlier in the week, go ahead and go back and watch the rest of it because there's a lot that goes into checking and refining and just dealing with your plans and what you've got going on. So,
Mm.
this has been a really fun series. I am excited for next week, where we're going to talk about actually making those adjustments. Now we've looked at what went wrong. Now how do we fix it? Which is probably the most important portion of this. So again, this is almost a doubling up of the original. So plan and do are almost mirror images with check and adjust because you make your initial plan, your purpose, then you do something, then you look at it and plan to do something else to make it right, and then you do that. So,
Mhm. Yep. So the adjustment step involves the planning for the next phase. They do kind of go hand in hand.
oh, I was saying, wait, the adjustment phase? I thought that was the doing on the planning for the next phase. I am so confused, but
We'll get into that next week.
we'll
Don't
get into
worry.
that next week. So come back.
We'll unpack all that, and the confusion will be hopefully lessened.
Yeah, I was gonna say I will have confusion. Don't we won't lie to you guys. I am the confusion. Um, tomorrow we're gonna go over a random topic, which is the speed of learning and why some people seem to learn faster than others. A really interesting topic, so feel free to come back for that. It is free. It's our free show. I
Yeah.
know it's like half as much as you guys paid for this show. Like, so come back for that. Significantly discounted,
Yeah.
so that you can learn something fantastic. It's going to be a lot of fun. So We really appreciate you guys being here. We appreciate you guys participating. Even when we get on our long tangents, feel free to just start dropping stuff in the chat. Otherwise, we're going to talk about from our perspective, but I don't know if you knew, but your life experience is a little bit different than ours. Um, it's totally crazy. But when you have those experiences, or you have something else that you're like, hey, this would be cool. They haven't talked about it. Go ahead and drop it into our forum, which I believe Joe just dropped into our chat. So
I did.
Click that link. Send us, a message right there. It's gonna be for the Free for All Friday topics. That's where you can, hey, maybe you've already put a topic in. You can always put more. There's nothing stopping us from, talking about a lot of great things. You have a lot of good ideas. You do. So you keep giving us great ideas. We're going to keep doing some great topics on Free for All Friday. So,
Yep. Random has a question here real quick. What are other ways to check yourself if not a pitcher? When it comes to physical stuff, pitcher I find to be the best. You can also check weight, or if there are other measurements you can take on yourself for physical stuff. But the parameters will be different no matter what, depending on what it is that your goal is, right? If your goal is something physical, then yeah, picture, weight, measurements, stuff like that. If your goal is, something financial, you might check your accounts. You check your accounts, you check your income, your balance statement, all that kind of stuff, right? So it's just going to depend on whatever is the goal you're running for. The parameters will be different. And those are things that you can define as time goes on. So that's a quick answer to your question.
Yep. So cool. Thanks, Joe. And the idea, random, is you want to have something that you can compare it to. So like you keep a log or a list. So when Joe talks
like
about
Jeff just said, keep a journal and review the journal.
mm-hmm.
That make. Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Jeff. Oh, wise knower of things. Is the knower of things. Basically, you want to be able to look back. So, like when Joe's talking about taking the pictures, I assume that you look back at all of the pictures throughout the entire time, and it's so that you can see the difference. You know how we talked about the idea of having somebody else look at, hey, here was your before and here's your after. They don't see all the steps in the middle. That's what doing these pictures and taking this journal does. Is you can say, here's where I started and here's where I ended. And you can look at yourself from an outside perspective.
Mm.
So I guess that's another way to check yourself would be having somebody else to tell you. So hopefully that helps. We've kind of reached the end of our show for today. Today is Thursday, which means we don't currently have a stream as Jesse learns all of the IT stuff. So our gaming streams are on hold, but they will be here this weekend. You can hang out for those. Those are awesome. You should go hang out. Yeah.
Can I put a link to that?
Yeah, might as well. So you can go follow them. It's free. It's just like subscribing on YouTube. It's free. You don't have to do anything. You just follow them, and then when they're doing fun and cool things that you can participate in. So always great time. You can hang out in the chat, have fun games. Joe is there. He freely gives away his Pop-Tarts that he owes everyone.
Sometimes. Weekends are tough, but sometimes it's easier with the quarantine. Every once in a while I can pop in on the weekends.
But tons of fun. So it's great. Hanging out with you guys is fantastic. It's one of the best parts about what we get to do. So come on back. We will see you tomorrow. Again, tomorrow, Free for All Friday. We are going to have a great time. The greatest time, really, for all time. So, anyway, that's all we have for today. You guys have a wonderful Thursday, whatever time it is for you. And we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.